We're glad you're joining us for our video on Colorado lease and landlord tenant laws. As a landlord, you need to know your rights and responsibilities to manage your property well. With that in mind, here are some important landlord-tenant laws in the Centennial State. First, let's talk about the most important document landlords use, the lease. The lease agreement is the foundation of the landlord-tenant relationship. It's a legally binding contract between a landlord and tenant that outlines all rules and terms of the rental relationship. The most common type of lease agreement is a one-year, fixed-term lease that terminates at the end of the lease term. This is often referred to as a standard lease agreement. Beyond the basic terms of the lease, there are some additional things that landlords must include in their Colorado rental contracts. Colorado landlords are required to disclose any knowledge of radon concentrations at a rental property. In addition, they must provide tenants with a statement about the dangers of radon and an educational brochure about radon. Pursuant to federal law, if a property was built before 1978, landlords must provide tenants with a lead-based paint disclosure and pamphlet.
Next, let's talk about key Colorado landlord tenant laws. The security deposit may not exceed 2 months' rent. If the lease does not provide a timeline for returning the security deposit, it must be returned within 1 month. If the lease does include a time frame for the return of the security deposit, it cannot exceed 60 days. There are no specific guidelines about the notice that landlords must provide before entering for non-emergencies. We recommend always providing at least 24 hours written notice and only entering during reasonable hours. There is a 7-day grace period in Colorado, so late fees cannot be imposed until the 8th day after rent was due. Late fees may not exceed $50 or 5% of the amount of rent due, whichever is greater. Landlords must disclose any late fees in the lease agreement. Colorado landlords may require tenants to get renters insurance and can make failure to do so a breach of the lease agreement. This is something we always encourage landlords to do. Landlords may charge up to $20 for a return payment fee or the actual amount of expenses incurred due to the bad check. All Colorado landlords should be familiar with lease termination and renewal laws. Fixed-term leases terminate at the end of the period unless otherwise stated in the lease agreement. Either party can terminate month-to-month leases with 21 days notice. Colorado does not limit how much a landlord can increase rent. However, the lease should specify the procedures and notice requirements for rent increases.
Colorado landlords must keep the property in a habitable condition. This includes ensuring essential services like plumbing, heating, and electricity function correctly. Tenants should promptly notify landlords of any needed repairs. Tenants in Colorado have specific rights, including the right to repair and deduct rent if the landlord fails to make necessary repairs. Retaliation by the landlord against tenants is strictly prohibited. If a tenant fails to pay rent or violates the lease agreement, the landlord may start the eviction process. When doing so, landlords must strictly follow all Colorado laws. Landlords can never resort to self-help eviction methods, such as changing locks or shutting off utilities. Congratulations! You're now ready to create a Colorado lease and manage your Colorado rental unit. While the lease laws might sound complicated, keep in mind that our Colorado lease automatically includes all required disclosures and gives you state assist tips as you create your lease. Before you turn over possession of your rental, make sure you've screened all tenants, have an executed Colorado lease agreement, and you've collected the entire security deposit and first month's rent. As you manage your rental, remember that we have over 400 property management forms, including Colorado-specific forms. Visit easylandlordforms.com to start your tenant screening, create a Colorado lease agreement that's guaranteed to comply with all Colorado lease laws, and access Colorado property management forms.